the doorway as they start to defuse. Hengu goes for one on the Young. Can he go the second?
Min, what are you doing? What just happened? Why are you sprinting, Bio?
Hungry. He gets the A-Ray!
Oh, he's Moringa, are you ready for this?
Oh.
Yes! Bango, are you kidding me?
That's it. Why am I so much better than you? God damn!
Hello and welcome everybody. Hello and welcome everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Shikhar Gupta, media lead here at SiegeGG, and with me is the one and only Hunter Cooke, the news lead here at SiegeGG, and we're very excited to bring you another episode of SiegeGG Live. And today we're going to be looking back at a very, very intense 5 days of group stage play, and the recently revealed, about an hour ago, the recently revealed playoffs bracket that's come out. Lots of exciting stuff going on. So, Hunter, how do you want to start this?
Let's take a look back at the group stage. Do we want to start with the format conversation, or should we just hop into the actual games themselves? Because we can do either or. I'm good to give takes.
Well, let's go with the format. Let's start with the format. So, this one had 3 points for a 2-0 win, and 2 points for a 2-1 win, 1 point for a 1-2 loss, and 0 points for a 0-2 loss. And that created some controversy, apparently.
Okay. So to break this down, because I think there is like kind of a valid thing on both sides, even though I personally, my take is like the format's good. However, I don't think it's perfect, but that's also because you are not going to have a perfect format in a round robin. When something is done specifically for seeding with a one team eliminated, like if we're not eliminating all of the teams, like if life isn't on the line for all of them, like what are we fundamentally doing here? The contention that I think a lot of the people that are mad about the format have is that fundamentally, when you get down to the nuts and bolts, winning the best of three, it doesn't matter, which I don't necessarily think is true. I think that is mostly because the teams that are out, Team 1, notably, when Team 1 lost, they lost big. They lost 0-2. When they won narrowly. They won by, objectively, a thinner margin, which overall, I think is a little bit of... I don't want to say it's like reasonable to have them there, because that's very like loaded, and I can definitely see their complaint and where it comes from. However, the other side of the argument is that we have to reward the degree of win. Think of it like soccer or football. Sorry, I'm American. We fundamentally, there's a reason why that 7-1 World Cup scoreline still floats around. Even though at the end of the day, what was the difference between that 7-1 victory and like another one? Like that game was significantly dominant in a fashion that the other games were not. And in a round robin when in a round robin where fundamentally you are playing for seeding, how you win matters. Now, I think there's a way to tweak this, but I think the overarching sentiment of how you win matters is not something we can do away entirely with in a round robin.
Yeah. If you guys are a little bit lost, if you guys are wondering what the hell's happening, we'll give you some context. And let's start with the context right away. Because you guys might be wondering, why the hell is there a drama? There must be some drama. There's always drama in Rainbow Six. So yes, there is drama over here. You can see Team 1 eliminated out of Group D, despite winning 2 games. They were not very close games, I think. Yeah, that's the issue. And the fact that I think MIBR also didn't really get a really great seeding, even though that they had a fairly decent situation, or what they seem to be a decent situation in the group stage, their results-wise. So you can see Damwon was very, very good. They won all the games 2-0 except for the last one. It was a 2-1. Clear winners over there. But Team 1 Yeah, the match of the group, of course, the Team 1 versus Oxygen Esports on the 4th day. Yeah, that was a
Mhm.
very, very close one. 8-7 on console that decided it.
It looks wonky. And to some degree, like I can see where like Team One and the people who are mad about the format are coming from. Like, if the maps are gonna be what matters, then why don't we just do best of ones? Like, winning is the only thing that should theoretically matter. But again, like I think when you're playing for seeding, I think it becomes a completely different conversation. Um, I don't think it's arguable that like the best to kind of transition this into more of like a group stage general conversation. I don't think it's arguable that the best of three format, as opposed to the best of one, produce a significantly more exciting group stage than the past two majors combined. It was just better, from top to bottom, from day one to the last day. And you can say what you want about the format, but making these teams play for like very granular seeding where like second versus third matters, first versus second matters.
Yeah.
It produced excitement throughout the group stage. There was only one game that you could kind of consider like dead, right? And that was Damwon versus Navi. But even then,
He
Navi
was
had
only dead
something
for
to play
Damwon.
for.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Whereas in another group stage, that might have not been the case. Like if we were sending like three teams home or two teams home, like Navi might have had nothing to play for, and Damwon might have had nothing to play for. So why tune in for that match?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a necessary evil in that, or not evil, but like a necessary sacrifice in that manner. There has to
Yeah,
be
and
some way to tier it.
this is a little bit better. In terms, obviously, the best of threes is a little bit better in shaking out which team is actually really a deeper team rather than someone who can go in hard initially and then they fall off, which is, as someone
Mm.
mentioned, kind of CAG kind of vibes. But yeah, Group D was a very, very solid showing for Damwon, and pre SI, I predicted like, look, they might struggle in the groups. People are gonna figure them out, and they'll take time in the group stage to kind of reorganize and figure out how do you counter strat. But it seems like what they've done has worked out. The cynical argument for that is the rest of the teams suck in that group. It is possible. It's probably an element of both. That the other teams aren't very good, and Damwon is the best team in the group, so they weren't challenged that hard. But regardless, they got the first round bye, and the rest of the teams kind of shook out in a little bit of an odd manner. Oxygen, MIBR, and then after that, Navi, followed by Team One, who are eliminated.
I
Eh,
genuinely don't think to kind of like continue this. I don't
yeah,
think there would be this much like talk about this if it
yeah,
hadn't been
Team
like
One.
two teams as opposed, if it hadn't been team one for 1 point and it hadn't been
Hmm.
two teams as opposed to one. Like I initially like very staunchly like defended this format. I was like, no, like this is good. Like how you win should matter, how you lose should matter. Like
Yes.
it is like that is what a group stage is. It is fundamentally like a mini league. Like yes, SI is a tournament, but this is for seeding for that tournament.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, looking at it, you cannot deny that it is a little weird that on paper there are two teams that were 1-3, which is objectively like a worse record in the group stage, above team one. And I think that's a very like I think that's a valid complaint. And while there is something to be said about, well, have this complaint beforehand as opposed to now, the only reason we're
Yeah.
talking about it is because like it happened. Like we could say like, okay, like it's super like unlikely,
Correct.
um or whatnot and what have you. But the fact is it did happen. And not only did it happen, it happened twice in one
Mhm.
group to one specific team. It's kind of like a perfect storm of loudness that like it bears like a look at it. And if the lens through which we look at it, or whoever decides the format, is that nah, this is the best way forward, then so be it.
Yeah,
That's fine.
and yeah, how you win does matter. Like if you beat someone 2-0, you either got the map picks right, you stratted on
Hmm.
the opponent's map pick properly, you should be rewarded for that more than, grinding out a 2-1, especially when you realize that that there are some maps where there's been a couple of games where it was like 5 defense wins or like 5 attacking wins, and like one overtime round kind of decided it because like, hey, this team got like the overtime side on defense, that's a favorable side, yada yada. So I think 2-0 does kind of separate that a little bit, and it mitigates that impact in some manner. But as far as surprises go, I think Team One's elimination is for sure a surprise. The way that they played was totally unexpected. These guys are, first of all, they are major winners. Second of all, they are Brazilian teams. This event was not expected. I really wasn't expecting a Brazilian team to be eliminated. I didn't expect MIBR to be eliminated because of that very reason. Although on that final day, we could have had Team 1, MIBR, Oxygen, or Navi. One of them could have been eliminated, depending on how the results shook out. Yeah.
It's just a really bizarre scenario. The last thing I kind of do want to address about this format thing is the one thing that I've seen said a little bit that I think is without a doubt wrong. There's a lot of people that are saying like this is based on the eye test, and that this is somehow like an eye test, like, oh, I think these teams are better because I've watched all of them play. Like, no, this is a format. There are points values. It cannot be the eye test. They were better in the current in the format that was given out that every team had access to at the exact same time. So it's not that people are arbitrarily deciding that Team 1's wins matter less. We are not deciding that. What we are saying is this is the format. There will never be a perfect way to decide seeding in a round robin groups. The enemy here is the round robin system. That's it. Period. End of story. It is round robins. It is difficult to have a perfect tiering system in this format. Now, I can understand being slighted. I can understand why people are, why there's some that are miffed that Team 1 is slighted. It's very emotional, but I don't think there's going to be any kind of like resolution to this. This will continue to happen, and it's just going to have to be something that teams prepare for. You are going to have to be prepared not just to win your games, but to win the games in the formatted system that you are given. That is how the game is played. That is how tournaments are played, and that's how they will be played from now on. There's no way to avoid it.
Yeah, I think aside from like a couple of freak results like these, this format is good. But yeah, Team 1 surprised at the underperformance. Like they did underperform. Let's make no mistake. They didn't perform up to their expectations. MIBR, I don't know, slightly better than expected, I guess. Although it still didn't really look very impressive. We had like Luke be the best player on day 4, and then he was the worst player on day 5 for MIBR. So lots of yo-yoing going around. The player consistency levels are not really there. So MIBR probably not going to have a great time in the playoffs.
It might be rough.
Yeah.
To circle this conversation, or not to like belabor the format point. Sorry, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
To formally transition, we should definitely talk about this group. This group was simultaneously the closest and the worst.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
I think
the bottom.
Yeah.
By virtue of that kind of like block of
Damwon goes ahead, and then everyone else is like just fighting like it's like Hunger Games, and these guys are like the capital.
They're literally the king in the castle, and everyone else is just like was just constantly like scrapping to get close to the king in the castle. Like Damwon were played very, very close in quite a few matches, specifically by Oxygen on a couple maps and Team 1
Navi
on a couple maps. Navi took a map off them, but you could argue that was dead time for Damwon. They actually stand to gain, or they stand to lose more than they stand to gain by showing their full strat book in that game and playing to their fullest potential. But I think they were played pretty close. But at the same time, Damwon's ability to close out maps in overtime is just bar none. That is the main struggle that a lot of APAC teams have had. APAC teams have gotten extremely close and pushed.
Siege.
They've pushed these top teams into overtimes, but they have not been able to convert those overtime wins. And the difference between Damwon and the rest of the field is their proficiency in overtime games. I wasn't expecting to pull this up. Say something while I pull up exactly how many games
Right,
they've
yeah,
won
for sure.
in
I mean,
overtime.
one thing I also want to say, like, Yas is insane. He's an extremely proficient fragger. Rin is also insane. Now we're saying Rookie Man's insane, right? Like, Coded has also performed very well in situations where the other people have been a little bit quiet. Katzen can clutch out a couple of rounds as well. Individual wise, this team, maybe they're not like the best out and out fraggers, but when called upon, they can make the exact impact that Damwon needs. And I think that is what also contributes significantly to their ability to pull wins out in overtime and just close out maps. Katsang's impact kills are really, really important, and he doesn't show up on the stat sheet because he's playing roles that, if everyone else has to fail before he gets to do his job, So most of the time, everyone else is not failing. He has such a talented roster.
Damwon won 3 overtime maps, lost 1. I believe. Wait, did they? I might have read this.
They
wrong.
won 8-6 on Chalet. Yeah.
They won 8-6 on Chalet, and then Navi beat them in overtime 8-7, according to our website. They won 3 overtime maps and lost 1. Guess who was the only team to not push Damwon Kia to an overtime on one of their maps?
Team 1.
I'll give you a hint. They're on a plane. Yeah. It was Team 1. It's just to show that, like, maybe it was a little bit correct that Team 1 by the eye test, even though like that was not the metric that pushed them out, maybe they were not as great as some of the other teams, even though the other teams had worse records. But this was just like, I was again like kind of disappointed in Oxygen, and I think they they would tell you this themselves. Oxygen absolutely threw so many maps,
especially Villa against Damwon.
How many times were they up like 5-1 at the beginning of a map and then lost?
They had I looked 2 6-3s and 1 6-2, like by my memory alone, and my memory is pretty bad because I've been like pulling fucking weird hours for the past 5 days. But like I really think that like we had the NA 6-3 meme the other day on Oregon. That was one thing that I remember. They were 6-2 up, I think, on Villa against Damwon.
That was Sonics, and then they were up 6-2. The meme that we looked up for, I believe it was Oxygen in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I think Oxygen in the first 3 rounds are the best team in the world. Throughout in the first 3 rounds of every
then
map,
was CAG.
They would CAG. I believe they only lost the first 3 round battle in a map like once or twice over the course of like 9 maps, and there are multiple maps they went up 3-0 on.
Yeah.
I don't want to. It's kind of insulting to the other teams in this group, like, oh, Oxygen throw, but like, I don't know how you can look at some of those maps, look at the leads that they had, and say that they didn't throw. That isn't to like discount the play of the other teams. Like, capitalizing on another team's mistakes is a part of this game, but like, Oxygen made those unforced errors.
Very bad.
Completely and totally unforced errors.
So I think that's pretty much it. Navi, MIBR were weak teams as well. They were, I wouldn't say they made mistakes. I think they were just like a little bit weaker. Oxygen came down to their level, sort of, because of the mistakes that they made. And then Team 1 was just they just didn't perform, even though they won 2 games to the other team's 1 game.
It's very much
Should
we address the elephant in the room with Team 1?
Yeah. Rumors. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Big rumors, right?
Let's do it.
We haven't confirmed this. We don't have sources.
Yeah.
It looks like a dead roster.
But we
do,
but we have not confirmed anything yet. And I also would like to say that, like, until the transfer window is officially open, nothing can be formally signed.
Until Pen is signed, Pen
there is a report out there linking Alamau to G2. And theoretically, there has been multiple reports coming out of the Brazilian scene that this Team 1 roster has been slated to break up after SI, and the rumor is that they went into SI with that knowledge. So if that is if that happens to be true, it makes their underperformance significantly more understandable.
Yeah.
Dead rosters type thing.
We know we already know like Alamau came he was on
Mhm.
record with us that he was contacted by G2
Mhm.
for stage 3.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
visa didn't come out in time for that
Wasn't it too?
move.
Like G2 tried to get him
Before Mexico or was it
after
after? I think it
before
was
Mexico.
before Mexico,
It was
yes.
it
Yeah.
was after SI21 because it was
Yes.
against G2 that he kind of was like thrust into the limelight because Team One were
Yes. That
down
game, yes.
6-2, and then he
Yeah, and then they
rattled
brought
off like
back, yeah.
20 kills in a row. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when he got
So
away.
again, all of this is hypothetical. I think calling it like rumors is doing a disservice to the people that are
True.
bringing it
Yeah.
up. I would say that there are
Reports.
reports that are linking him to that. We have also, I don't want to say like heard and like couch our bets, but based on our conversations, it's entirely possible. I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility at all. But I would say that I have not specifically heard that there's pen to paper yet. And
Mhm.
as we have seen with a lot of the like international visa situations in the past, think like Sleben and Gomfi to Sonics. Think any of the other just billion visa issues that people have had coming out of Brazil.
Alfama as
With,
well.
when Alfama, when visa issues prevented NIP and I believe FaZe Clan from being full strength at Pro League season 10 finals in Tokoname,
Yeah.
like visas are not something.
Joke.
Yeah, they're not easy to obtain. Now that may be the intention, and that may very well be true. We have not confirmed that on our end, but I will also say that this is
Looks like
looking
it.
likely.
It's looking
Yep,
like
it
it. Yeah,
definitely
it's
looks
looking
likely.
like it.
Yeah.
The way that they played. But I think that's enough about Group D. Let's move
Hmm.
on to Group C, where okay, like you can see on your screen, goddamn, Elevate. um, that's very surprising. But on one hand, it is a surprise. On the other, I would argue it is not a surprise. So let's start the conversation with them. Elevate are an extremely frustrating team to play against. I
Hmm.
bet if you ask any of these teams, all right, about what they felt while playing Elevate, they'll be saying like we were trying our plans and they just weren't working, and we had no idea what the hell Elevate were planning. We had no idea why
You
they were
should
playing the way they were playing that
you
way.
should tell chat the anecdote that you heard
Oh
about
yeah,
Elevate from the other APAC teams
yes,
because
yeah.
that is
Yeah.
instrumental in understanding Elevate.
I was talking to Luna Metal not an hour ago, captain of Invictus Gaming. I've been talking to Hysterics on and off during SI, pre-SI as well. I've been talking to other Australian teams who are in Apex South alongside Elevate. Each of them say Elevate is the most maddening team that they have ever played against, and they drive you up the goddamn wall. And keeping your mental stable when like your proper plans are not working against a team like Elevate is very hard because Elevate play quote unquote stupid Siege. All right. And Luna Metal was telling me just earlier on, an hour ago, he's like, these guys should talk to me. I know how to beat them. But then I told him, you took like 2 years to figure out how the hell to take down Elevate in best of threes consistently. This is a team that faces Elevate week in, week out. All right.
Mhm.
And of course, not saying that they are invincible, but it just seems like the NA playstyle is something that they feed off really well against. And
Mhm.
I don't know. This is complete speculation. I feel this is like going back to our pre-SI thing. I feel that NA's reluctance to play this kind of playstyle in FPL, for example, as well, and just get used to it. Elevate is the most NAFPL playstyle you're ever gonna get, and they embody that to to a crazy degree. They play absolutely stupid siege, and yeah, it's very hard to
Elevate
fight against that.
Elevate is the boogeyman that scares the boogeyman. Like he is they are the monster of monsters. Like when we talk about like APAC teams of the other regions, literally every single team that we talk to, even though like CAG like won one map, they're just like, yeah, we're terrified of these guys. Like they're flying
They're
out
not fun.
windows. They're bringing Montaigne. Like you might win and it might be a 2-0, but they're gonna take a chunk of hide off of you. They're
You're not
gonna
gonna
eat
enjoy
away
it.
at your brain. Yeah,
You're
it's
not gonna
gonna be
enjoy it.
bloody. They're going down
And
scratching and clawing.
and
And
I
that
think
is
personally, sorry,
no,
personally,
no, no,
the
you're good.
reason I think BDS beat them is because BDS was super pissed off and they abandoned all semblance of proper siege in that matchup. After Elevate took a map off them, and you could see like suddenly Elevate were like, BDS were unleashed, and Elevate were being fought the way that they are supposed to be fought. So if you want to look at how to fight Elevate, forget your strats, forget your setups. Really, just take them in like you take them in ranked.
Speaking of BDS, we are going to acknowledge that Rafal was not with this team for a while. We are going to acknowledge that they were very upset. We will not acknowledge any kind of like salacious rumors about why he was not there or why not. This is not something that is in any way confirmed, and we view this as like, this isn't just like a player transfer. This is potentially extremely serious, and I think it deserves to be treated as such. This isn't, as much as we just like kind of gossiped a little bit about, well, it's about reports that are public and about stuff that's been talked about. I do not think it would be becoming of us to discuss this because it deserves sincerity and it deserves clarity. When we have something, we will print it. We do not have something at this point in time, but I do think that something eventually is coming out. But until then, no rumor mongering on BDS. Let's focus on in the server. They did not play well. They did not play well even when they got Rafal back.
Ilims was really bad.
Mm-hmm. Ilims was out of it the entire tournament. And it's funny, ironically, I interviewed Bios before the tournament began. And he just said, like, yeah, Ilims is our spark plug. You can look to him as like a weather vane for how the team is going to play and going to perform. If Ilims is on his game, BDS are on their game. If Ilims is not on his game, BDS are not on their game. Ilims was completely and totally out of it, or appeared to be at least, for the entire group stage. And I think that was like very readily apparent in some of their comments on social media, in some of their response to honestly very mild ribbing and jokes from Merc.
I love the memes. Merc's meme was fantastic. I loved it. It's really good.
It was funny. It was extremely funny. And if you're one of those people that is like, oh, we should never trash talk. Oh, we feel bad. Like,
even Onigiri did it. No one jumped on him for that.
You won in the server. The winner gets to talk. I've never seen a winner in my life be like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have like celebrated too hard. Like, they won. That's a consequence of what gets to happen. They won, and you have to watch your enemy, the people that you just played, celebrate. That is life.
Yeah.
If we're not allowed to celebrate our
media, if you can't handle it,
delete Twitter.
For your mental health, might be a good thing.
Yeah, unironically, yes. But BDS were not in it, and I don't want to like. There's a really bad tendency amongst, I believe, like social media to kind of like do the whole parasocial relationship and like kind of play armchair psychologist. But based on everything that we've seen out of BDS before at international events, I think it's just readily apparent they were not in it mentally. They were completely and totally out of it. Or at the very least, Ilims, who is the weather vane of that roster, was out of it.
Speaking of people being out of it, and someone mentioned in chat, someone made a joke in chat, Shaiko is joining Parabellum, haha. But like, I've never seen Shaiko be emotional, right? We have seen him at multiple events. I've been in front of him, like 2 meters away. I've been taking pictures of him. As a photographer for SiegeGG, you obviously want to take like the hype people because they'll react and stuff. I barely shoot Shaiko. Okay, and that's for a reason, because Shaiko is super calm, he's super collected, he comes in, whether he performs well or not, he just comes in and goes out. That's him. he shouted at his team
Yeah.
yesterday. Day before, sorry. Very surprising. I've never, ever seen Shaiko display that kind of emotion. Positive, negative. And this was negative towards his own team.
It's very clear that something pretty extreme happened in that camp.
Yeah.
Like, it was not good. In the server, they were not good either.
No,
I mean, yeah, that's all that really needs to be said. Is it time to talk about? Is it time to
DZ?
do the NA
DZ?
slander? NA
Yeah.
slander time. Slanderous North America. Slander North America.
Where do we start? Do you want to start with TSM or DZ? There's a what do you want to start with?
TSM and Dark Zero were a foil of each other. Dark Zero did not look good through the first 2 games of the tournament. They got blown out of the some games they should not have lost, and then at the end looked extremely good in their final 2 games. TSM looked dominant early and faded down the stretch. They they were face off. They just like switched faces. Both of them looked extremely good at times. Both of them looked extremely bad. I'm glad that it's starting to be noticed, because this is like a statistical trend that I've been picking up on since Mexico. NJR performs internationally. He's currently rated 4th in the tournament among Palu, among Nesk, among Rampy, among all of those guys that you like kind of see as the hegemonic, like statistical dominant in the scene. And then there's NJR. NJR,
very good player.
Because extremely good player. He has not had the kind of like international success that a lot of those other players have had. He's also not had the international longevity. But I do not think can be any doubt anymore that like he is probably a top 5, statistically a top 5 player in North America. At the very least, when it comes to playing internationally, playing on LAN. For whatever reason, NJR turns up against other regions. He's a great player. He played very, very well. TSM, the Merc change was
good.
It was
I think for him.
Yeah, for him. He played very, very well. It was a bit of a bombshell at the time, and like
he kept TSM competitive yesterday. Only him, basically.
Based on historical trends, I think deep Rainbow Six lore, it's a questionable choice to have an entry as an IGL, but also that is the way that this game is moving and the way it is progressing forward. It's not like too crazy of a decision, but also I think that like,
I don't know. I think TSM's working things out, working kinks out still. I think that they
are
have...
TSM North American BDS is what I'm trying to say. Are they North American BDS where they're always pretty good? You can always consistently expect them to make the playoffs. You can consistently expect them to be well. Will they ever make a finals?
I think they...
in a tier 1 international...
At least they're trying. I think this role change, I think, has been significantly impressive in like big of a change. Short of a roster change, of course. And I think this is as much as they could have done. And they got a little bit unfortunate that they got pit against DZ, who DZ are intimately familiar with them, of course. And then they got pit against Elevate, who are the worst team, in my opinion, to face when you're having a rebuild period. When you're trying to figure out a new system, how it works out in an international stage, you don't want to face Elevate, because Elevate will tilt you to shit off the server. They will destroy.
When you play Elevate, there is someone prone behind every.
Oh my god! It's just
there just is.
Very stupid. Elevate play dumb. And I love Elevate. Okay, they play dumb. They can be found out. TSM were not the team to find them out. And DZ
is it dumb if it works?
It doesn't quite work. I mean, I'm gonna say there's a reason that they haven't made it to Mexico and Sweden majors, is because the APAC teams have finally figured them out. Finally, but it takes time, right? And both DZ and TSM kind of in rebuild periods, still figuring out their ceiling,
I need,
their identity.
I do need to quantify the TSM is North American BDS statement. If your team is consistently making it to international semifinals and consistently recognized as one of the best in the region for over 2 years, I would count that as a good thing. Rings and hammers and major titles are not everything. There is something to be said for consistent international success.
Mm.
Take that however you will. If the only thing you care about is who lifts the hammer, then yeah, it's probably not a good thing that TSM have never really shown that they can make a finals, much less lift a hammer. However, if your thing is sustained success over time, at which point it's kind of inevitable that you will break through, kind of like Team Liquid did from about 2018 to very recently, actually, in 2021. It's a successful formula.
Yeah. Well,
It depends on what your definition of success is. Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. But I just have this image, this unshakable parallel in my mind of like, not in a sense of like cheating, but like Bolo is the NA Shaiko. This incredibly mechanically gifted person who is kind of like subdued in the server, who is kind of cursed to never make an international finals. And
maybe
it may be that may be where these two teams are heading, but I feel like that comparison is at the very least like a little bit apt right now.
Yeah. All right, moving on now. It's time for Group B over here, where I just want to say, I totally so, Liquid, we're gonna destroy this group. That's exactly what they did. Liquid are very good with asking resets. Free sets even received player of the match for one of the games. Reset's a very good player. Ask is a very good player. The other Brazilian teams, think that those two guys are very hot talents. If they think that, you better think that as well. Liquid are feeling very good. And just want to say to the other teams, don't try to shit talk PSK. He will throw it right back in your freaking face.
Yeah. To the North American team in the bracket, let's throw out a useless a completely and totally arbitrary useless statistic.
Oh yeah, the shirt color
is kind of funny, but there like is no real tangible like correlation to success. Space Station are 3-0 when they wear white jerseys. They're 1 when they wear jerseys. So by the superstition clause, their playoffs performance is going to be determined by the laundromat.
I mean,
how quickly they can do laundry.
Gamers are stinky, right? Like maybe they can bring that as another weapon in their arsenal. Just wear that same white shirt every day, and by the time you get to the grand final, you are like doing biological warfare against the opposition team as well.
At this point, it's like, well, shit. Space Station's wearing the white jerseys. I'm waiting for them to go like full superstitious, right?
I mean, Lycan's already said he's very familiar with superstition.
So if they start, if they win and they get it going, I am waiting for them to come out for map 1 in the black jerseys. And if they lose, go to the back and change into the white jerseys. I think that would be hilarious.
I don't think there's a rule against that.
Funny.
So they could technically do it. Yeah.
It'd be very funny. But Space Station played well.
Yeah.
Played very well.
Hot and cold, very good. Finally turning up internationally with SSG. Very important for him to perform this week.
Bosco has now tied Palu in the all-time record for most 1vx clutches. One of the most underrated players in North America consistently. Clutch gene runs through him. Very, very good. Like, extremely good. Not good enough to beat Liquid right now, but looking at this from like bird's eye view, who is? Maybe Damwon, but Liquid are playing like a tournament favorite. And to be clear, this is the group of death. No other group is the group of death. This is the group of death. You have Space Station, who we have long hyped up as like a team with incredible individual players that has not really like put it together, but it seems kind of inevitable that they will put it together. You have FaZe Clan, who are one of the most consistent LATAM rosters, like very even across the board. There's no like one statistical outlier really, except for like Cyber when he was a major MVP.
Mhm.
They're a very good team. They're the reigning major champions. Liquid are the reigning champions in Brazil. Rogue are another extremely good roster. Semifinals in Sweden. Like the addition of Prano into
Oh,
Rogue
so good.
has completely and totally changed that roster fortunes. And I think if they were in any other group, they would not be fourth. And then you have CAG, which is like, hi, we have all of this gasoline here with all of these good teams. Let's throw a lit match in. This was the group of death. It
Yeah.
was. And no other group was.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we talked about this early on, pre-SI as well. The only reason CAG really went out is because they got fucked on the group. They got
Mhm.
put in with the worst teams. That they got two LATAM teams. They got SSG, the best NA team, and they got Row, who are coming up and coming very well. Very good stuff. CAG just
Mhm.
unfortunate. They need to close out their rounds. Their playstyle is not going to be successful. But before we really touch into CAG, I just want to show you this clip from yesterday. For SSG. I did wonder what was going on over here. Rampy got up very mad after winning the map, and he was screaming like at his own team. And Fultz got up like
He
very
wasn't.
cowed.
It doesn't. He was not screaming at his own team. We
It
found
looked
out through
like
later because this
right.
is.
Oh, okay.
It looks like it, but this is post map 1.
Yeah. After they won
Ramp.
7-5.
Yeah, very, very, very emotional. He was yelling at Rogue, and he would yell like, why do y'all guys drone?" Like he was getting into it.
Felt
Rampy
like
is a
his face in
person.
this.
Rampy as a person, from my understanding, is a incredibly passionate, incredibly emotional, but also very invested in the kind of like regimented playing Siege the right way kind of thing. Even when he's winning, it seems like he would get annoyed by like, yeah, like you guys could have beat us, but you're not doing the very simple things
Yeah.
that you could have been doing. He just wants to play good Siege. And I don't think he believes that he got that in their matchup with Rogue.
Yeah.
Rogue play a little bit crazy. Rogue play a little bit wild. They're very aggressive. And I don't think he
I think it's
thought
good. I
much
think
of that matchup. He is
Rampy
it's a healthy respect.
was our SI20 MVP. He's one of the best
Hmm.
players in NA. And yeah, someone mentioned Skyzim crushing it. Very
Hmm.
good point. Like, I think SSG are finally performing. Each of their players are performing at the level we expect them to, and they're performing well together. They have ways to go. They're not perfect by any means, but like they could make a run. Like depending on what
Skies
they do
plays
today.
well. Yeah. Skies plays well internationally.
Yeah.
Extremely well internationally.
But I think yeah, that's about it for. Oh no, we haven't talked about Face Clan. Face. Sweden major winners kind of disappointing, maybe.
Bay's
Or
very disappointing. I
yeah.
had them winning this group.
Mhm.
I had them as the best team in this group coming in. I think they disappointed 100%. And I know like disappointment, loaded word. I expect a lot out of FaZe Clan. I think they're a top 3 team at this event, and I don't think they performed super well. I think they let that day 1 map 3 round 15 loss to Space Station kind of like get in their heads a little.
Maybe, yeah.
Also, Liquid are just like on a tear. But also when we're looking at this like, bird's eye view objective, like is a loss to Space Station and Liquid really that
It's
bad?
not. It's really not.
Is that really the worst thing in the world? CAG took a map off of them, right? But they won. Is it?
It's also
Did they
CAG.
really have that bad of a group stage?
No, no.
Like,
It's also CAG in the sense that like these guys will like aside from OXG, they will come out super hard on map 1, and they if they close it out, which is on them, right? Not really on you. If they close it out, then they take a map. Uh, so
hmm,
it's all right. I mean, FaZe Clan, I think, disappointing in like the placement. We'll see what they can do in the
yeah,
playoffs. I
that's
think
probably a good way to put it. Like, the losses necessarily in a vacuum aren't disappointing, but like I think a lot of people picked FaZe Clan to be higher than this. And I think if you didn't, you're kind of insane. I think
hey, what did I
I
say?
think
Did I
we
say?
settled
I think I said
This is the
liquid. I said
this
liquid
is the
rogue
one
phase.
group. Yeah, this is the one group where I think we essentially had where we were lockstep. I know personally I had Liquid Phase, Space Station, Rogue,
Yeah,
CAG in
I
this
had liquid
group.
rogue phase,
Yeah.
and then SSG, which is fairly close to not very fairly close. I only got liquid really right, but I phase. Space Station and Rogue swapped around. Rogue kind of not as good as expected. But
Can we pose an interesting question for CAG? Because we are talking about them
mm,
like choking a whole ton. And naturally, when you talk about teams choking, that normally points to discontent and possibly a need for changes, I would say. I don't think that's the case for CAG. I think they're one of the best teams Japanese Siege's ever produced. And in the current financial ecosystem of Rainbow Six Siege, you cannot pass up going to events and dominating your region. There's a lot of money in Japan League. CAG are consistently near the top of it every single time. They are consistently qualifying for international majors. They're consistently doing pretty solid in regional play. This is not a roster I feel like you blow up. I don't
it's
feel
only
like this is something.
it's only as we said, we talked about TSM earlier, right? The only reason you think about blowing this up is if you really want to lift a title.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, there's no choice. So it
Eh,
is of sorry.
oh
Um,
no, yeah, I was about to say, and yeah, like that's true. But
yeah,
then what's the ceiling? Like
correct.
what is the realistically what is the ceiling? Damwon could be the first APAC team to ever lift a hammer. Damwon are objectively like the most successful APAC Rainbow Six Siege team of all time. Norengo's up there as well. In terms of like standard like one-off international events, I think Fnatic, the Fnatic core is another roster you can point to out of APAC that has had like
I think
sustained
Fnatic was more
success.
consistent than Nora.
Hmm. They
Nora
were a
was higher
sustained
though.
threat.
Yeah.
Yes, they were a sustained threat. Norengo had the higher ceiling.
Mm.
But until Damwon proves that there is a higher ceiling for a team out of APAC in this esport, i.e., if they lift a hammer or make a finals, I think it would be foolish for CAG to think that they can significantly raise their ceiling with
Yes.
roster changes
Yeah.
because there's no proof.
And I don't
There
think they're
just is no
interested in
proof.
doing it anyway. Like
I don't think so either.
which is like the conversation I've had with their staff and players. They're not interested in changing things in the personnel department. Maybe they'll change their playstyle. If they really want to push further in the international field, but that will
Hmm.
come at a penalty of potentially a drop in APAC performance. So the question is, do you stick with what you have? Like, because in APAC, this playstyle will get you to international events. And then do you change it, or do you change it from the start in APAC itself and then risk not even
Hmm.
qualifying to an event or two, and risk dropping off a little bit before you start like steady progress? And even then, what's the ceiling kind of thing?
Yeah. The point of this whole conversation is if you are looking to as a team, and this kind of goes for like a blanket statement, not just CAG about roster changes. If you are looking to raise your ceiling as a team by making a roster change, you need to be acutely aware that you can significantly lower your floor as well.
Hmm.
And the only way to consistently improve as a team is to qualify for these international events and get international experience. We've seen this time and time and time again.
APAC especially.
The teams that go to the international events take the experience, take everything that they've learned, and they come back and instantly make it out of their region. The toughest thing to do is qualify for the first international event. After that, the toughest thing to do is make the semifinals. If you
Yeah,
can
well,
make it here and you can absorb that
yeah.
knowledge like a sponge, you're in a pretty good spot. If you make a change and you can't get here, that is a problem.
Which is also like the risk that Liquid took, but they paid off. Liquid, I think, as you said, a very historical team. They know what they're doing. They're one of the few teams that you can really reasonably have confidence in that they'll be back on the international level. Teams like CAG, maybe not. The question is also elevate a little bit. Let's see what happens with them when they go back to APAC.
Mhm.
Let's see whether they can come back. to the international stage.
You
Over to
were
Group A
correct that
then.
Liquid would. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
You're
Yeah.
correct that Liquid was already I'm addressing chat. Sorry, I'm all
Oh,
over the
right.
place. We
It's
haven't
all right.
slept for a long time. We've been up for a long time. Liquid was already qualified for SI, yes, so they can take the risk. But, however, in order to get, I mean, it's about sustaining, right? Like,
Yes.
you have to be able to do this consistently. And until you can do it consistently, there is no like indication. I would argue that Liquid proved that it made the right choice before SI, because I
BR6
would
finals, yeah.
count, yeah, I would count BR6 finals as a quasi international event
I
on
mean,
the
we've
scale
had
of
LATAM finals for SI21 and
Mhm.
Sweden majors. So, like, if you're winning in BR6 finals, you're basically winning an international event.
There. I don't know about basically an international event, but
But, like, yeah.
as the best region, by
Mhm.
far and away the best region, their finals count for a lot more. I would rank a BR6 finals win over an NAL finals win, UL
100%.
finals win over an APAC finals win. Like, if you're not gonna win a
They
major,
haven't even had APAC finals.
okay. The point being, if you are not going to win if you're not going to win a major, right? BR6 finals are like the next best thing right now. There are no more minors. Those are completely out of the ecosystem. I think they already proved that they made the right call. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And they proved it
they're
again
very,
by
very good
beating
team. Yeah.
FaZe
Mhm.
SSG. Like, FaZe was an
They were
important
already
team for them to beat.
they were already
Again,
qualified
yeah.
though. I think it was just kind of like shocking. It's like it's Liquid.
Yeah.
Liquid is sexy cake and moringa as much as it is like historically.
Yeah.
Like it was a very staggering move. I did not believe it. Shikhar could attest. I was like, no, like there's no way this is real. Like these guys are wrong. Like Liquid's
I
not
believe
blowing
him
it
then.
up after
I believed
Liquid's
in
not
it.
blowing it up after a semifinals performance. And like
And
if you're
grand final
blowing it
SI.
up, if you're blowing it up after a grand finalist appearance at SI and a semifinalist performance at a major, you better make fucking sure that you're right. You
And
better make sure.
let's be real. Some people will argue that NIP only won that grand final because of map advantage. So that is a different conversation. But
Mickey Mouse
like,
map advantage.
but but it also makes it a little bit crazier that the how hard Liquid went on the change. Like, you were 2-2 in maps played with the world champion. So, like, making a change after that also just makes it a little bit crazier. But yeah, Liquid Dam 1, we said that pre-SI, please give us
Speaking of
that grand
NIP,
final.
we are belaboring this one.
Yes, A, Group A. Group A, let's go.
We have another group.
NIP.
NIP, baby.
They lost to Sandbox opening, and then
Inconsistent.
yeah, then they came back, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Very inconsistent. I think we can just chalk this one up to NIP's apparent inability to deal with APAC. If you recall back
Damn one,
to
yeah.
the Mexico major, like Damwon very infamously beat them
8,
on
7,
Clubhouse,
8,
which is their
6.
map, twice. That was like one of the biggest balls move in Siege history, like coming off a hammer lifting performance. You're taking the world champions to objectively their best map, beating them and saying, yeah, we'll do it again. That was so cool, dude.
While
That
you're
was
a roster
awesome.
that's only existed for 3 months.
That was so cool. I
3
love that
months.
so much.
These guys only played together for 3 months. First international event, first stage together.
Do we also have to address what is looking like
6
the
months,
the NIP cycle?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, you should talk about that. Yeah, it is looking like an NIP cycle.
The NIP cycle, which is actually like it has been disproven now, unfortunately. For a while there was a pattern emerging that they made the grand finals at SI 2021 and then they were out in groups and then they were back in the finals of the Sweden major. And so we were kind of like, what if NIP goes like out in groups here?
They could get dumped in playoffs 0-2-0-2.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Like, it could virtually be the same.
That's NIP though. Like when they're on fire, they're the best team in Rainbow Six Siege. It's just so difficult to ascertain what makes them catch fire. Like, what's the click? Like, we know losing is one, right? Like, but what lights that thing?
Apparently, getting 360 FPS on their monitors.
Oh my gosh.
This is not me. Psycho and Muzi both complain about this. Apparently, only getting 200 FPS on their 360 hertz.
I at least appreciated
monitors.
that Muzi only posted a tweet until
After
he
they won. Yeah.
Yeah, like I applaud the consistency. Like, thank you.
Maybe it's true. Who the hell knows? I mean, like,
Dropping
dropping 160 FPS is significant.
It probably is. It probably is true. Multiple people have like complained about it, but I'm sorry if you cannot adjust to the if you cannot adjust to factors of your environment, like, you're just not a sportsman. You need to be able to take things in stride. Maybe that's what makes them
fall. They tilt on factors outside the control.
Yep. You cannot control that. You cannot. Like, I'm sorry, unless you are inspecting every single PC that comes in personally, like, it's bad. It's probably not good. No one is saying it's good. No one is saying that they should realistically have to deal with something like this. However, there is a need for some of these teams to recognize, as you said, Shikhar, factors outside of their control. Control what you can control. Worry about the rest later. Is if you let that get in your head, you're just done. It's going to stick there because you can't control it.
I think we're in an age also of Siege where all the teams at the top are so tight. You can make an argument for Dam1 winning, NIP winning, Liquid winning, SSG winning, TSM winning even reasonably. And I think what's really going to separate like them, because I think the tactics wise they're going to be very close. I think what's going to separate them is their mentality as a competitor. And you know, you and I both follow traditional sports very, very closely. Different fields.
Probably too closely in my probably a little bit too close.
I mean, it helps that my favorite team is garbage, so I've been like distancing myself. I don't need to wake up at 3 a.m. to watch them. But we know that mentality is very, very, very important, and it can turn underdog teams into absolute world beaters. And that's something that I think at this SI and every future event is going to start being the defining factor, the differentiating factor between teams. How well you can adapt to whatever's thrown at you.
And since we're talking about this, because I do think this applies to two other teams in this group, we should nail down exactly what we're talking about when we talk about mentality, because that's a little bit of like a buzzword. Right. Like, what a lot of teams say is like, we just need to have a strong mental. We need to have a strong mental. We need to have a strong mental. What that means is understanding that there are always going to be factors outside of your control and attempting to control the factors that are in your control the best that you can. An example of a poor mentality would be not reading the format rules and then looking at them after the fact and being like, what the heck? We got screwed. That's outside of your control. You should have known going in that this was a possibility if you had read up and studied up on the factors, because you can control the outcome of those games that lead you to said bizarre, weird ruling. That is mentality. That is the difference between spewing out takes and complaining on social media and actually having what a lot of sports psychologists would call mental toughness. Correct. The ability to look at something, discern whether it is in your control or not, and then move on.
Yep. You have to be accepting of the situation. It might suck. You don't have to be happy about it. But
no, and we're not saying it does. Yeah. I think that's the point, is that like you can acknowledge something sucks and then completely like move on from the situation. Like, I acknowledge that sometimes I'll have to like unclog my toilet, right? It's a dirty, gross job, but that's just part of owning a home, right? Yeah. If I let it affect my mentality the entire day, I'm soft. Oh, I have to unclog the toilet. Oh, it's ever
Yeah,
happened to me
it's just being
specifically.
part and parcel of any kind of competitor, and yeah, it's not the
Yeah.
player's fault that FPS is dropping, and we know not only NIP complained about it, but come
It's kind
on,
of
man, like we just went through
reading
this for the
chat.
past 10 minutes. Like we've been talking about this for 10 minutes.
Reading chat, that's kind of unreasonable. IMO teams prep their opponents,
Yeah.
not point formats. Yes, and you should have looked at the point format and prepared for your opponent accordingly. 2-1 wins are less valuable. You should have been going for 2-0s across the board. There's no time to stall. There's no time to stall out. Win the map ban phase. Have your coach win the map ban phase. If you can't do that, get a new coach, or have your coach do more research. Like I'm sorry, there is like no excuse. If you're prepping an opponent, prep to win 2-0. Yeah. You knew this was going to happen. You knew you would need the maximum amount of points possible. You cannot look at that and say like, okay, it is absurd for a competitor to look at 4 best of 3s that they have and think, okay, we can sacrifice a map in all of these.
Yeah,
that's
you'll
ridiculous.
Never say that. Yeah, they'll never say that, and I guarantee you they wouldn't have thought that. So you can't complain about it afterwards. Really.
That's not how BO3s work, though. That is how the format works.
You're still getting points for winning. You're still getting 2 points.
Yeah. Again, you might not have been here when we discussed this earlier, but the real enemy isn't best of 3 format. It's round robins. A round robin for seeding is always going to have wonky seedings where how you lose matters. It always will. There is no way to get around it. Round robins my hot take is that round robins are bad.
Swiss may be a better option, but we tried that.
I think Swiss is an infinitely better format that actually does reward. It rewards dominance. How you win and wins, but it weights actual wins heavier than how you win, which is how it should be.
Yeah.
But it's a round robin. You can't control that. You have to go in knowing how a round works.
Right.
And this mentality also extends to 2 teams in Group A that
Sandbox.
I think are pretty interesting. Oh, 3 then. I was thinking Empire, and I was thinking.
And sorry, this is something you cut out for that.
I was thinking Empire, and I was thinking Sonics. Because after I had a lot of conversations with Joe Bro, this is something Sonics really preach internally. Control what you can control, forget the rest. I can control whether I help my teammate or not. I can control my play in the server. I can control this. I can control that. I am not going to get upset about things I cannot control. I realize that like it's kind of insane saying that, oh yeah, they don't really for a team that has Seth Super Hoffman on it. But I even think that Super has kind of like on social media toned it down recently. I think that mentality is wearing off. Not wearing off. I think that is like and I think it shows in Sonic's gameplay. They played extremely well. So did Empire.
Very good.
This was a very good group.
Yeah, they should have won against Empire. But yeah, good group. Except Sandbox. I really don't know what to say about these guys. I'm gonna talk about them because they're like a little bit familiar. But there's not really been an X factor with Sandbox that you have always been able to identify. Elevate has an X factor is like they will frustrate the shit out of you and they'll play quote unquote stupid Siege. CAG will go insanely hard on the aggression. They'll turn it to 11, 12 out of 10. And they'll really make you a little bit scared in that sense. Damwon Kia will have like a solid roster that will take you down if you give them any sort of opening, and even if you don't, they might still take you down anyway. But like Sandbox, you look at them, you're like, so what are these guys? Do they have like what's their?
They look like world beaters on the first day. They look like world beaters.
Literally world beaters. The world champion beaters. But after that Eminem loss, I think rattled them. They were very quiet on stage. Very, very, very quiet. And they look like that for the rest of the event.
This was like... Yeah. This is another... We have to kind of couch what we say about Sandbox too, because this is another team that I mean, via
It's
our
done.
reporting, was a dead roster moving in. They are moving Nova back to coach. It's looking very likely that they're going to bring the sub Good Boy up. That's your reporting, Shikhar. Sorry, I just
Yeah.
kind of yoinked that from
No
you.
worries,
It's
no
very
worries.
early in the morning.
I mean, it's tired. I'm tired too. Yeah, Good Boy is rumored to be coming in because what Envy Taylor told us, the facts that were told to us were Nova is going to move to a coaching position in April. Coincidentally, now this is speculation. Good Boy. The fact is, Good Boy is turning 18 in April, so speculation is that Good Boy is coming in to replace Nova. Though I don't know, like I don't know how it's going to work with the transfer rules because you can't register a player unless you have an academy team where the academy, wherever they play, they can allow under 18 players, which is what Elevate did with Nerix, by the way. So there is precedent for that. I don't know how Sandbox are going to do it, really, because if they might have to play stage 1 with Nova, they might not. I don't know how it's going to work. We'll see how it plans out. Heather, our writer, he's the one who really looks at these rules properly and figures them out. So he'll be looking at them a while later, and we'll give you updates on that. But yeah, this roster
Yeah.
was not meant to stay, and I don't know whether that played into Sandbox's mentality. Don't know whether it played into Nova's mentality. But his last game was a 0.00 rating, 0 kills, 16 deaths, and 6% KOST. That's how you went out on the international stage.
One of the worst ratings all time that we have seen. And that's not to dump on Nova. That is just a fact. It was... Oh, man.
It was brutal.
It's
That was
really
brutal.
difficult, right? Because, like, Sandbox started off so well. Like, they were better than NIP that day. Like, this was not a fluke. This was not anything that... Yes, Wolf-Kissed. 0 kills, 0% rating, 6% of rounds. He had a kill, he did the objective, or he survived or traded.
Yeah,
It was a
that's an or.
massacre.
It's not an and. Also, by the way, he
Or,
either got
yeah.
a kill, which he didn't. He either survived, which he didn't. So either he did an objective play in that round, or he got traded. That's the only thing. That's his literal only impact on the game in
Now,
16 rounds.
Contrast that performance and that
With
performance from
joystick.
Sandbox on day 5 to their performance on day 1 against NIP, where they beat them 2-0 and blew them out
2-1.
of the water. Or 2-1. They blew them out of the water. What happened? What happened? Something changed. Something was demonstrably different. Like, we saw one of the Sandbox players like break down and cry after they beat NIP in the group stage. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if this is like
I thought that was a little bit over the top.
It might have been like the classic Korean, like, there's so much pressure, like, culturally on Korean players to win. Maybe they got one win and were immediately like, okay, now we have to live up to like the Damwon Kia thing. Those two teams are like inextricably linked based on like all of our reporting and how they talk about each other. Like, Sandbox believes that they should be on Damwon's level, or that they could be on Damwon. And I think they got a little bit of a taste of it, and then just like immediately once they became like favored to win, it just cratered, man.
And it doesn't help that the next matchup was against NIP. Sorry, not NIP, M&M, who are just promoted to EL, came in through the EU qualifier, versus this team who has been to SIs in the past, who's been to events in the past, who
ostensibly
is potentially on Damwon's level. Yeah, that added on the pressure.
Based on objective measures of competitive experience, M&M should have been the worst team at this tournament.
Yeah.
Should have been. They were not. And I don't think anyone thought they were, but they should have been.
Yeah, just by looking on paper, they should have been, because each of the other teams have way more experience, and maybe not better players outright, but the experience counts for a lot in this. Eminem's biggest thing was they have insane stamina, which is a big thing in its own self as well, though. And Eminem showed that pretty well. They came in no expectations. Nello kept on saying, in the lead up to it, that this one's gonna be a good one for us because we are the one team where we are not expected to win, and that really takes the edge off.
I mean, he straight up said like he thinks a lot of people were like playing scared, like they were playing like maybe, oh man, if I mess up, like blow it here, like maybe my job's on the line. That just was not
He
the
did
case for
say
Eminem.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he said directly to David Villa,
Yeah.
our intrepid Catalonian reporter. Yeah, Eminem, very, I don't want to say like bizarre, but I think they overperformed. Definitely overperformed. I had them going out in groups just based on like, I thought Sonics had more time, more international experience. Okay. One is Team Empire. Yeah, tell me you're going to take Eminem over Team Empire. The other's NIP. Yeah, tell me you're going to take Eminem NIP. The team Eminem had the highest before the tournament on paper chance to beat was probably Sandbox. And even Sandbox has like international best of 3 experience and were a quarterfinalist in Sweden. Like,
Yep.
This should have been a rough group for them.
It was good. It was good for Eminem though, and it's really just want to say that we can see that they are, they're not like some hot streaking Empire level team. All right, let's just qualify that, and we can see that in the stats. Neonical is or Neo, as he's requested to be called. He's not doing well. He is one of the worst players of the event so far. I think. Yeah, there we go. Just above, same rating as BIOS, and people below BIOS are even worse, of course. But good lord, man, like Neo's been a little bit not great. The weak link maybe for Eminem so far, because you couldn't see any of the other Eminem players over here
statistically,
right now. Yeah, statistics.
Statistically, yes. He's also been. I mean, his main operator this event is Habana.
But also Jaeger.
Also Jaeger. There's a little bit of content.
Yeah.
But all the same, like, I mean, shoot, I think the world of Eminem. I think they overperformed. I think if you're looking for an underdog team support, Eminem is your only like, Eminem and Elevator, your only real choice.
Well, Eminem. We'll see how it goes, but let's talk about Sonics a little bit, and Grixer as well. We talked about pre-SI that they had said at Mexico and at Sweden that we are collecting experience, we are gaining experience, we will going out there, maybe not exactly explicitly to win. And this was the time for them to show it. They did. They showed it perfectly. Grixer slapped his freaking hammer down, and he's like, dude, that's not the word I was looking for, but you know what I meant. You know exactly what I was trying to go for. But Grixer was incredible. I mean, look at the stats over here, right? He's number 2 by rating. He's number 2 by rating, number 2 by KD split. Grixer is an incredible player. 0.05 behind Nesk. +9 behind Nesk.
When we talk about North America on the international stage, I know the past year has been supremely negative, and a lot of the chatter has been that the current stable of NA pros that are just washed up need to make way for the younger guys. Grixer, NJR, Rexon, and Merc are all within the top 10 statistically, and they are all a part of what I kind of colloquially call in North America the second wave of pro players to come through. I would throw Iconic, Jane I Know, that Oblation roster in there as well. We're seeing some kind of like new guys come up, like I think Razor, Mechanical Prodigy, who is going to be very, very good. DP Fire is very good as well, plays for Astralis. But Pambazoo also, yes. Pamba is ridiculous. But looking at this, it's very hard to see the complaints of the North American Challenger League players when you see like guys have, okay, they grinded up to get to the North American League and they grinded it out in these international tournaments. And now we have 4 of them in the top 10 after a group stage in international play. Best of 3s, playing some of the best teams in the world. Grixer outfragged Joystick. It's incredible. Like, he outfragged Palu.
It's nuts.
Ridiculous. NJR got more kills than Palu. Like, it's this second wave that we're seeing materialize in North America. And I think they're extremely good. And to that point, we have to talk, when we talk about the Sonics, there's a lot that can be said, but I want to highlight something that I do not think gets enough shine.
Rexon.
Yeah. In the transition from the former like global pro league system into the regional leagues, the way that teams held their spots in the leagues fundamentally changed, right? You have to hold a license. And when you hold, the team has the license. The team with the license picks up the players they're signed to the license. When the license dissipates, the players are then effectively relegated. They are kicked out because the whole thing is a wash. The players do not hold the spot anymore. What this does is fundamentally change the way that relegations work, especially in an esport with as marginalized economics as Rainbow Six does. Unless you're like a hugely popular team, it can be difficult to like turn a profit. Like R6 Share has been incredible for this scene, but we need to be frank, like it very much benefits teams that come in with already established brands. It's very difficult to build something up organically because of the system. Rexon was relegated twice without ever playing in a relegation game. He was relegated when Luminosity was booted. When Luminosity had played, like, I believe they were either semifinalists or finalists in an OGA pit, and they played super well. Rexon was relegated on that United squad that was infamously like one of the worst that North America has ever seen, but improved themselves to the point to where they had a puncher's chance of being in the top 4 in 2020, and were by their play had absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, saved themselves from relegation woes. Rexon was on that team. When United pulled out, he was relegated again. I am not telling you who to root for. I'm simply telling you that... There's a feel-good story here. Even though I understand if you hold some like animosity on it, a super can be a bit of a jerk to people at sometimes like, it's not really skin off my ass, but if that's something you're about, then that's something you're about. You should be pulling for Rexon. Rexon is one of the biggest like feel-good stories. He's top 6 at an international LAN. Relegated twice.
Kill record at one point.
Yep. One of North America's best players. Relegated twice through no fault of his own. And in a system that I would argue, very much so, unjustly relegated him twice. I can't speak enough about how much I admire the mental fortitude of someone to go through that and still be in the position that he's in.
Yeah.
It's inspiring. It really is. A lot of people would have cracked. A lot of people would have been done. A lot of people, after they were relegated in that manner, were done. Where's a lot of old Luminosity? They're not on the international stage. They're not outfragging Pino, Merc, Joystick, and Alamau in Brede.
I mean, that stat line alone is bonkers. And yeah.
Brutal.
Just, these guys are good. And Sonic's superb. And their matchup against Empire, which you highlighted as well. Very, very good thing. They should have been a 2-0, but Empire also, I mean, they love being down on 3-6 in Oregon, I guess. Despite having 2 players playing from the hotel room.
Mhm.
Very impressive showing from Empire, that match.
Definitely. Sorry for the Sonic soliloquy.
No, I mean, that is deserved. I think it is
but yes,
deserved. Yeah,
let's chat
absolutely
about
deserved. Empire.
let's chat about Empire. Empire were hobbled, and I think they played the best out of any COVID hobbled team we've seen so far. It happened to Dark Zero.
Yep.
It happened to Oxygen.
Oxygen.
It happened to Virtus Pro when they were completely and totally shut out of SI 2021.
Yeah.
It happened to there's another. I mean, obviously,
It happened to
BBS, but
Elevate.
we don't know the circumstances. It happened to Elevate.
Right at this event, yeah.
Empire have played the best, and I think that speaks to their fortitude. And I think if they get
Cypher
in the same, I believe it's Shepard and Always. If they get Always and Shepard back in the same room, and Shepard stops feeling like he's running like a ridiculous fever, Empire are going to have something to say about this tournament. And I think that they absolutely cannot be counted out. But again, that's contingent on Shepard, not running a fever and not, testing positive for COVID, which very well could happen. We'll see. But Empire, extremely strong.
Fingers
very
crossed,
much overlooked.
Yeah. Joystick, insane. In that last game, the one where Nova scored 0.00, Joystick had the best rating of this SI so far, and very likely will have the highest rating in the entirety of the tournament. Because Sandbox are a team that got eliminated. So basically what he was doing is destroying some kids in Terrorist Hunt or something. The rest of the teams in the playoffs are stronger. They are pretty strong teams. I don't think that kind of rating will be beaten. 1.89. 1.5 KPR in 16 rounds. He got 24 kills. Joystick.
Good?
I don't know, man. I mean, I think I could do it against Nova, but no, but holy crap, Joystick freaking shredded Sandbox. All right, and yeah, you can argue Sandbox played bad, but you have to pick up on it, and no one in this tournament so far has picked up on it like Joystick has. And once this team is back together in the same room, my God, I cannot wait to see what they show us. Empire are going to be very, very impressive, and could very well make a title run depending on how things shake out for the 2 COVID players, or the COVID test players, really, which would be precise on that. I'm not sure whether they actually have COVID. I just know that they have tested consistently positive, which is they have probably have it.
Yeah. It's very important to be precise with our words when we talk about COVID stuff. They've been testing positive. I think Shepard said on Twitter that he was running a fever. That's where I'm from.
Probably has COVID. Maybe not.
I don't think there's any way. We should not say for sure. We should definitely not say
not for sure. Probably. But the thing is, the virus buff is apparently a thing for these guys. They have been playing well. They have not been lagging behind. Empire are a very good team. We haven't seen their potential. I think that is the best way to sum it up. We haven't seen the potential at SI yet, and which is crazy. Which is crazy because they've already been playing so well. They made a nigh impossible comeback happen in the first day, and they have been looking very good.
Yep.
That is Group A. Basically, have we missed out anyone? Nip, we talked about them. Sandbox, Empire, Sonics. Yeah, that's it. Now, the playoffs bracket just revealed a couple of hours ago. You can see this on your screen. I'm going to blow it up a little bit. There we go. So, you want to talk us through the way that the bracket was constructed with the second seed picking the third seed, Hunter?
Well, it was done by points. Yeah, it was done by points. So if you're the second seed with the most points, you got to pick who you
played in the upper bracket.
Sorry, I've been up since 3 a.m. My brain is fried. Yes, you got to pick who you played in the upper bracket, and the third seed has selected. You can't select the seed from your you can't select the third seed from your own group. Which is kind of a bummer because that entire concept of like, dude, why were there not like cameras rolling at this thing and like a Hell in a Cell thing going on? Because like Space
Yeah,
Station
they
had the most
really
points
should
where
have.
like
Yeah.
Lycan's like pointing across at Navi, like that would have been really cool. Like
Listen to us, Ubisoft.
get some WWE action in there. Like let's ham this thing up. But the way it shook out was that Space Station selected Navi, and I believe the next highest points differential was a tie between Elevate and NIP, and I did not remember how they determined those tiebreakers. But either way, Elevate is playing Sonics, NIP is playing
They would have picked
TSM,
Sonics anyway. Like this
Oxygen is
is
playing Phase. They probably did, but I don't know that for sure. And
yeah.
we had to start the show. Like
I
I
mean,
couldn't have time to figure out.
yeah.
Sorry.
It's alright. Like this makes this logically. You know, when I went to sleep yesterday, this is a bracket I was expecting to see. This is a bracket we got. It was I think obvious that Space Station would pick Navi. Elevate couldn't pick TSM. I don't think they would have picked Oxygen. No, Phase. They wouldn't pick Phase. I don't think so. Elevate would have wanted to continue on that nitpick TSM. Yeah. So that
Yeah.
makes perfect
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
Chat round count. Perfect. Thank you. I didn't have time to look that up. So yes,
Yeah,
NIP
it makes
did
perfect
pick
sense.
TSM,
Elevate
which is
owns NA, so they went for the Sonics, and it's gonna be a good one. So we're gonna see.
well, NIP can't pick Sonics,
Yeah, exactly. NIP can't pick
which
Sonics as well.
which kind of makes it like a little bit of a bummer. Like eliminate that and let someone reach out their own group. Come on, man, that'd have been cool.
But yeah, we are seeing the upper side of that upper bracket stacked with the Brazilians, and we are seeing the bottom side of the bottom bracket, bottom half of the upper bracket stacked with the Europeans, Americans, and APAC teams. So we got 2 APAC teams, 2 European teams, and 2 North American teams in the bottom half of the upper bracket.
And to
We might
point,
see
this is
international, intra-regional competitions matchups.
to point with the bracket argument. This is just kind of like how the points fell out. I don't think this was intentional in any way, shape, or form. It's just the way it crumbles. But the plus side is, even though we'll have a lot of like regional matchups early, which I mean, I get it. I'm bored of regional matchups too. Like, I don't want to see NIP play Furia any more than you do. But it's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. We won't have it in the finals, which is
more important, I think. Yeah,
better. Yeah,
more important.
it's the better option. So here's the bracket. Do we want to give some takes? Do we want to give some hot?
Yeah, I think let's go with takes a little bit. And we'll also talk about what Misfits raising in chat about the fact that there's 2 best of 3s in a day. That's kind of brutal. It is actually pretty brutal for any team. We'll see how that shakes out. But let's go with the takes first before we dive into like the meta playoffs format kind of thing a little bit more. OXG FaZe Clan. No, I think this is going to be a FaZe win. Maybe it'll be. I think it'll be a 2-1 FaZe win. NIP TSM. I think NIP come good. TSM's attacking woes. We saw them on display against Elevate. I think that will hurt them against NIP as well. NIP will win that 2-1 as well. I think. SSG Navi. That's the SSG 2-0 for me. Elevate Sonics. So Elevate 2-1. Those are my initial picks for the upper bracket matchups.
FaZe Clan 2-1 over Oxygen. NIP 2-0 over TSM. Space Station 2-0 over Navi. I'm gonna couch this pick. Out of all the teams that play kind of like weird or wild out of North America, and would therefore be the most prepared to play and elevate because they play similarly. It's Oxygen and Sonics. I think Sonics win this one 2-1. I think Joe Bro does his homework.
Yeah, that is the big deciding factor. I think Jobro and Super, I think we have to bring him into the conversation too. I think you talked about the
He's good.
mentality that
He's
they've been
good
driving.
IGL.
Yeah, the mentality they've been driving into their players. I think they'll be able
So
to fight the tilt.
so how this bracket works is that there will be, if you're playing in a 2-3 seed, you'll play another best of 3 in the day. I believe it would be the winners and then the winners bracket, and then the losers bracket
Yes,
would be the next day.
correct.
Okay, correct. So that is the benefit of having the first seed and why you want to scrap your ass off to get into that first seed so you're not two best of threes back to back. I do think there is going to be something said in how this always plays out with Siege. It always plays out that the upper bracket team comes in cold and takes a little bit to start up. And that can mean that the lower bracket team peels a map off of them, or at the very least makes a map that normally would have been a sweep for the other team pretty close. For the second, based off of what I said would happen, I think Liquid beat FaZe Clan in the rematch 2-1. I think that NIP beat Furia 2-1. I think there's just way too much firepower. Space Station beat Team Empire 2-1. They've played in the quarterfinals for the last 2 events, I believe. I know they played pretty sure they played in Sweden. No, they lost to NIP, but they've played Empire. Like, these are 2 teams that are very, very familiar. Space Station are pretty good. I think Empire, despite being very, very excellent, still have some lingering questions about their map pool. I don't count them as too huge of concerns, but I think they're still lingering. I think Space Station win that 2-1. Damwon Kia will absolutely delete whoever makes it through out of Elevate and Sonics.
They will
Actually,
especially delete Elevate. They'll especially
wait. No. Actually, no. I'm pivoting that. I think Damwon beat Sonics 2-0 because Damwon are just like incredible, and I think they play Sonics game better than Sonics do. Elevate takes a map off of Damwon if they make it through.
Interesting choice because the gatekeepers for 2 of Elevate's LAN appearances that should have happened in 2021 were Damwon in the APAC playoffs. I think Damwon are too familiar with Elevate, and they're gonna expose Elevate because they know exactly what to do. I think Elevate will be a bigger stomp if Elevate wins, which is what I think. Damwon are gonna smack the shit out of Elevate. They are probably gonna beat Sonics as well if that happens. Exactly. I think Wolfkiss is right. It's been 2 O's. I think no, there's been a one. One of them has been 2 1s. But it doesn't really matter. I think it was when
Lands on, baby.
Yeah, LAN is different. I think between SSG and Empire, I think Empire, if they have all of their players on stage, I think Empire takes that 2-1. If not, I think SSG takes that 2-1. It's going to be close either way. The performances are very good. And I just realized while looking at this bracket, we totally forgot to talk about Furia winning the freaking damn group. Early on, we forgot even talk about Furia.
Twister's a good coach. I don't think
Very
there's all
good.
too much to talk about Furia winning their group. I think they
It shaked out a little bit weird, didn't it, on that final day? Just they
It
kind
was
of
just
snuck
weird.
in. They kind of snuck in.
Yeah. 100%. I would say that if we are going to talk about how the format was so mean to so LATAM team 1, we have to talk about how it bracket blessed Furia.
Very much.
Like, if there's any,
Furia were, let's see, they were 2-1-0-1, so they won 2-2-0s, then they won 1-1, and they lost 1-0-2. Their 0-2 loss was to what was it? To TSM, right, over there, and they were close games, 7-5, 8-6 in that one. So I think Furia performed pretty well, but look, this group had Furia number 1, Elevate number 2, TSM number 3, Dark Zero number 4, the highest placing team. Furia had 8 points. Whereas
had
in
BDS, they're two hobbled teams plus 2 North American teams that have been a little bit shaky.
We don't know really whether this is indicative
Yeah.
of true performance. But good on
No idea.
Furia for making it work. They went down yesterday in that fight for first seed. OT lost it in Cafe, and they won their Oregon as well in OT. Clubhouse was 7-5. It was a tough, very bloody matchup. They made it work
Mhm.
against DZ. We have to credit them for it.
As any
But
reasonable coach would say, you play the games that are in front of you. Again, like it goes back to our earlier conversation about things you can control and things you can't. I guarantee you, no one in the Furia camp is just like, "Oh man, we suck. We played it. No, we won our group. We did what we were supposed to." Like, we can't
and
worry
they're not getting
about.
ahead of themselves too either. Yeah,
Mhm.
we're first
Yeah,
seed, we're the best. No, they're not thinking that as well. They're
no,
realistic,
no one
and they
is
are
like.
really shaping up, and they will surprise people. I think a little bit in the NIP, or I think it's going to be a NIP matchup. I think they'll surprise them, but I don't think they have the ability to win, even if it is TSM again or NIP. They are both familiar. They're familiar with both teams, whoever they face.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the next one would be Team Liquid versus FaZe, I think, and I agree it's going to be Liquid again, 2-1 over there. That will give us
Mhm.
the matchups for of Liquid versus NIP. I think Liquid will take that as well. I'm very high on Liquid, as you can tell. And I think Empire versus Damwon. That's gonna be very exciting. But I think Damwon edges it out, and they get to that very very vital Damwon versus Liquid rematch from Mexico.
Damwon versus Liquid Grand Final. Let's say it right now. We are manifesting this. I am.
Yeah, I think Damwon, even if they lose in
I
the
am
upper bracket final,
manifesting it.
they will come back and repeat, set it up again.
Damwon versus Liquid in terms of raw like storyline potential, in terms of excitement, and in terms of the kind of boxing a dodge that like the styles make the fight. In this scenario, the styles make the fight.
It's
Trust
gonna
the
be
styles make the
so
fight.
good.
Liquid are the slowest, most methodical last. Damwon are one of the slowest and most methodical APAC teams, but both of these teams are still like crazy aggressive. Perfect blend of aggression and great technical siege. The
Mm.
styles make the fight. Please, dear God, let us get a Damwon Liquid Grand Finals.
We will
Please.
probably get it. I mean, like if my predictions are right, we'll probably get it. Oh well, even if yours are right, I think we'll probably get it in the upper bracket final, and then we
Mhm.
might get it again in the grand final, which will be spicy as hell. Um, but like, so I don't know. I think Liquid will take Damwon the first time. I think that will happen, and then Damwon drops down, and then lower bracket. That one's a bit hard. So the loser of Oxygen plays Eminem, and then like NIP loser, NIP TSM loser plays MIBR, so on and so forth. Right? Is that's how it
Mhm.
works? Yeah. So Oxygen come down. I think I think Oxygen have the ability to beat Eminem, but it depends on whether they turn up on the day itself or not. Because Eminem can and will beat Oxygen if Oxygen let it happen, like they did in the group stages. MIBR, I don't see them beating TSM. I really don't. Sorry. Space Station, they're gonna beat Natus Vincere, so they Navi are gonna drop down. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know about DZ versus Navi. That one is a little bit hard to say. I think DZ take that because they've just picked up the momentum a little bit in the group stages towards the tail end. Sonics versus Rogue also is, I think, a hard one for me to call. I think Sonics takes that a little bit. Yeah. And then we'll see what
Honestly,
happens in the lower bracket. That's a bit
if
hard to
L,
say.
yeah, I'm not gonna give like too many predictions or like what I think
Mm,
about it. What I will say is that Elevate versus Rogue and Navi, two other styles make the fight type arguments where like they clash a little bit, but not too much. So you'll be able to tell who plays what, whose individual game better, as well as like see some crazy stuff. And I think both are performing at kind of like the same clip, if that makes sense. Like I feel like Navi and Dark Zero are on the same level in their respective regions and have proven to be on the same level internationally. Same with Elevate and Rogue. I think those would be two very, very, very fun lower bracket matchups.
Yeah. I think Dark Zero just have
don't
better
really know beyond that.
players. They've got Panba.
That's fair.
They've got NJR. Hyper hasn't switched on yet. If he does, that'll be very good. Eclipse has been...
Hyper's a very good
player
in his own right.
He just hasn't switched on. Eclipse has been doing pretty well as support as well. And Canadian is the winningest NA player. So I think Dark Zero should take it. Hello.
Yeah,
Matisse.
That's my take. I want the Liquid. It's not a hot take.
Wins, though? What do you think?
Sorry,
wins?
damn one. I think this is Apac's turn. I want a Liquid Damn One finals. Styles make the fight, and I think that's the best in terms of storylines.
I hope Damn One wins, but my heart says Damn One wins. My head says Liquid wins. Either way, I think Liquid Damn One is the upper bracket final and the grand final as well. It won't be the end of the line for like Damn One. Let's be real. Their goal, they said, has been to make it the grand final at this event. I think they're going to reach that goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll see.
We will see. It's going to be very exciting in the playoffs. I think we said this earlier on as well. Like there was a column, is it, or that you wrote, Hunter, on like the first day or something, where you said this has been the best SI, is shaping up to be the best SI, and I think it's still, you can say that. The group stages have been fantastic. The games have been fantastic. The format, I think, for most part, has been fantastic. They switched.
You can argue, yeah,
last minute, the location.
Very difficult to make it work. You can argue like the points format portion of the format was not good. However, the decision in the format to pivot to BO3 has been an absolutely wild success, and I think you would have to be insane to say otherwise. You can have minor quibbles with the points, but I think they're perfectly fine. I don't necessarily think Team 1 were playing at any kind of like insane clip or got so unlucky that them being in the playoffs is of any like ultimate like final consequence. The format to get everyone here, though, the SI points themselves, unassailably the best system that we've ever had. This is very much like a fair way to determine like who are the top 20 teams in the world, and we're going to get them all here. And I think they're all playing relatively well. Like, I don't know, like minor stuff about, the thing, like it benefits losing too much. Like, yeah, sure, man. That's an argument that we can table for another day. But having a best of 3 group stage with the seeding as it is currently leading into a long marathon of a playoff bracket as determined by a system that has objectively given us the best 16 teams in the world. I struggle to see how you can look at this and think this is not just like a colossal fucking W.
And yeah, Wolfkiss makes a very good point. And not just if Navi beats SSG. I think if any number 3 seed beats a number 2, that will be like, it'll be really good, because like they'll be like, yeah, you thought you could take us.
If they want to do like it for that pick section, sorry to interrupt you. If you want to do content, what you should do is you should, if you're going for content, have all of the 2 seeds go 1 through 4 and write down which team they would most like to play, and then select based on the group stage points. Like, okay, SSG gets their number 1 pick, but then we have exactly how they think about the 3 seed teams. It's content, baby. It's content. It's free. It's right there.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's yawning. I am really trying not to yawn. My head is my head is hurting. But yeah, I think it's a good bracket. I think this is going to be a very good event. It's going to be a very good playstyle. The meta is I think great. The game itself is in a great state too, so if this makes you want to play Siege, go ahead. The game is honestly, genuinely very good. For the
Best state it's
most
been
part.
in a while.
The anti-cheat thing that they released on February 10th as well. There's an article on our website for it if you want to go have a look. The anti-cheat thing is going to help out greatly as well. And streamer mode is coming in. Year 7's looking very good for Siege, and we're going to have the Year 7 panel just before the grand final on Sunday too. We haven't looked at, I think, of what's probably coming our way on Sunday, but I think it's going to be good. Like, the track record for Ubi has been pretty good. Yeah.
Do we want to do another one of these shows like on the off day?
We could, yeah. We could see, depend on how our brains shape up. If our brains are banana Jameson, then we probably can't do this.
Gosh. Can't say that live.
Yes, I had to. It's out there now. So, yeah, we're gonna try to do this show. No promises yet. We are all gonna be very, very tired. Doing this from home is not the best. We like to be at the event at the venue.
For context, because I want to brag on the team. Yeah, because I want to brag on the team a little bit. Like, to be up and posting articles and stuff for SI, I have to be up at 2 a.m. Shikhar has to be up until 2 a.m. 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
If 5 in the morning, like, our time zones are very much. So with that said, we'll try, but we can't. You gotta understand, we cannot guarantee anything.
Yeah. And unfortunately, if you guys have been watching Debrief as well, you guys have been looking at, hey, yeah, the technical quality hasn't been up to par. Top 6 plays as well, the kind of video series that we have. Yeah, it's a bit tough. Jackie became the SI host herself. So she's in there. She's doing her own thing. We're doing our own thing. We're separate. It's a little bit hard technically, but she's been killing it. She's been really doing very well. We've been doing our best. The news team has been incredible. Hopefully you've liked how we have been putting out our content as well. Yeah, it is COVID. It is just COVID. It's a tough period for everyone. Hope you guys are keeping safe as well. But I think this is it for this show, for episode number 6 here, SiegeGG Live. It's been
real quick, one thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. One thing. What happened to the UK members of SiegeGG? They all became members of.
Sorry, what? You cut out.
What happened to the UK members of SiegeGG? They all became members of broadcast talent.
Oh yeah.
Just saying.
Fun. So yeah, that's pretty much it. No, it's all right. Stay safe. Get some rest. Today is a break day. I think everyone's gonna be happy, and let's go. Get your hot takes in. We have predictions up on our website, so I'm gonna dump that over here. siege.gg/predictions. All right, please go and make your predictions, make your hot takes. At them with us. Look at that. My win rate's 72%. So let's see if you can beat this. I've only made 89 predictions though. Hit us up on predictions. Hit us up on Twitter. Give us your feedback. Give us your takes, and we will catch you soon. Hopefully, either middle of the other break day, or we'll catch you after SI. Have a good one, and good night, good morning, wherever you are.